Here's the truth. Nobody, and I mean nobody, wants to sit next to a screaming baby on the airplane. In today's video, I am going to share 3 helpful tips to avoid sitting next to a screaming baby on the airplane. Hello world. Now, I used to be that person, right? The person who dreaded sitting next to a baby on the airplane. I was very judgmental and I was not very understanding of the energy and effort it took for moms to travel with their baby and dads to travel with their baby. Every time I would book a flight, my first thought would be, I hope I'm not going to sit next to a baby. So I get it. I am totally there with you if you don't want to sit next to a baby on the plane. I'm here to help find a way to create more understanding from you and from the moms traveling with their baby so that everybody has as much of a stress-free ride as possible. Traveling solo versus traveling with a baby is a completely different experience. As a solo traveler, I wanted to enjoy my flight experience. I wanted to relax, even sleep a lot of times, just because one of my traveling strategies would be to stay up later so that I could sleep on the flight to help let the time pass while on the flight. So that was one of the reasons why I would think to myself, I hope I'm not sitting next to a baby, because if they're screaming the entire flight, then I wouldn't be able to sleep. Nonetheless, I am now the person that travels not just with one baby, but 2. And yes, it does get chaotic, but out of all of the times that we have traveled together, I've had enjoyable experiences, even when there are moments of screaming on the plane. So let's talk about how to avoid sitting next to a baby when you absolutely don't want to. There are 3 ways to go about doing this. The first way to do this is to purchase a ticket that allows you to select your own seat. That way, you can select an exit row seat. Babies are not allowed to sit in the exit row. That guarantees that you won't be sitting next to a baby. The second step, aligned with assigned seating, is to purchase a ticket that's a little bit more expensive than the economy ticket. So you could either purchase something like a Comfort Plus or a first class ticket. That doesn't guarantee that you won't sit with a baby or next to a baby, but most likely there won't be babies in those ticketed areas. The third thing you can do is when you get to your gate, after you've already checked in, gone through security, get to your gate before you board the plane, what I usually do is go up to the flight attendants and I'll ask, is there anyone sitting next to us, or is the seat in the middle empty? So what you can do is ask the flight attendants if you're sitting next to a lap infant or a child. And if you are, can you possibly switch seats if there's room on the plane in the cabin where your ticket is purchased? And when you approach the flight attendants with a nice and warm attitude, they're likely to work with you and switch your seats around. This has worked for me for most of my trips because I am traveling with babies. I prefer that there is at least an open seat between me and the other passengers. It doesn't always happen, but I always ask just to have space between us, and again, so that I'm not disrupting the person sitting next to me. In the case that neither of these tactics work in your favor, then here are some other things you can do in the event that you have to sit next to a screaming baby. Let me preface this by saying that babies aren't always screaming on the plane. I've had plenty of successful trips where the boys were not screaming at all. They may get a little fussy, but as soon as they start to get fussy, that to me indicates that they need to eat, or they need a diaper change, or they need some type of activity to help them to be entertained. What I would recommend is, if you have to sit next to a baby, would be to manage your expectations. What this looks like is just having an understanding that babies can feel discomfort when they're flying. They can't always communicate their discomfort. It could be that their ears are popping. It could be that the sound of the engine is very loud and it is scaring them. There are a few different things that could cause a baby to cry on the plane. They could be fighting their sleep. I know when we were flying in this last trip to Cleveland, Bamba was fighting his sleep and he was screaming because I was forcing him to relax, calm down so that he can actually go to sleep. And that did take some time for him to finally go to sleep. But before we got to that stage, he was screaming. It happens, but I was doing my best to calm him down. The next thing you can do is to have some noise canceling earphones. That way, when it happens, you're not as bothered because you can block out a lot of the noise. You can also get eye mask if you don't want to have any visual distractions and you really want to relax. Eye mask, in addition to the noise canceling headphones, will also help you to have a relaxing, enjoyable experience as well. And when you're able to relax and enjoy your experience, it helps reduce the stress from you having an uncomfortable flight, as well as the mom traveling with the baby having an uncomfortable flight as well. Also, you can offer some type of help, and this could look like offering to open up the snack bag, offering to pull out a diaper from the diaper bag, or pull out one of the activities from the diaper bag. It could look like many things. I've had people offer to hold the baby. I've had people offer to let me use their tray so I can sit the snacks down so that they don't spill, because there's not a lot of room between the tray that's in front of me and the baby. So there are a lot of things you can do to help if you want to. It's not mandatory. It's just a suggestion to help both of you all balance emotions and manage expectations. Kindness goes a long way, and that can be shown by offering to be helpful if possible. For all my solo travelers or people who travel without their kids, enjoy your time traveling. I hope these tips for helping you avoid sitting next to a baby were helpful, and also the extra tips in the event that you have to sit next to a baby were helpful as well. And I will see you in the next video. Until then, continue exploring. Bye.